Hello, hello, hello. Am I? Right, excellent. Good morning, everybody. How are we? Okay, thanks for turning up. Thanks for being here early and on time to see my presentation. Technology is not enough. It's a series of keynote speeches, presentations, awarenesses, things that I've actually been involved with in my 30 years in the printing industry. Yes, I know I don't look that age. I'm trying to dress down, dress younger. And the background in my printing industry comes from print manufacturing, print management, more recently multi-channel marketing, and also then fringing into web to print, and more recently now marketing automation software. So with all that history behind me and all the current technologies I have, it sits me quite nicely to have very good conversations with customers, with agencies, and even with printers in how they deploy their solutions. The presentation today is reflective, it's about the now, and anybody, and I know there's a few friendly faces in the room here today who know me, I sometimes go a little bit into the future, but everything you're going to see today is now. Everything you see today is in the market right now. It's just how I've put it together that's a little bit interesting. Now, when I was in Drupa a few weeks ago, Drupa is the largest international print exhibition in Düsseldorf. It was on for 2 weeks, held every 4 years. When I was in Drupa the other week, and as I walked around all the halls, I saw, and as I know some of you here today saw as well, some amazing technologies. But you know what got me when I walked around that hall? Is technology doesn't date technology. One piece of software doesn't go into a bar and say, "Hi, can I buy you a drink?" No. The bringing together of technologies and ideas is all about us. It's all about us in the room. And what limits our ability to deliver that is me, because I'm not exclusive to this, and all of you in the room. So what this exhibition or what this show is today is about inspiring your thinking. How can we blend these technologies so they work? So let's have a quick snapshot. Bang. This is our industry, or so we are led to believe. This was a map put together by Gartner a few years ago. And obviously somebody a lot younger than me was asked to put this together and say, right, I want you to map every single touch point that's possible within the channel communication sector, within agency, with marketing, within corporate. Fantastic. We've got everything in there. Look, augmented reality. We've got data, which is very, very important. Marketing, analytics, social, viral, absolutely everything. What's missing? Anybody? Absolutely. Someone forgot to put the bloody central line in. Okay? But if we look at digital, litho, web, gravure, UV, direct mail, large format, they're all relevant channels. And you're going to be hearing some great case studies and some great stats, particularly from the Royal Mail today, that actually will show you that by combining technologies, the outcomes of campaigns are far greater. One of the greatest technologies and one of the most innovative technologies, so this is for people who don't know, who weren't at Drupa, is nanography. Launched by Benny Lander, who was behind Indigo, bought by HP. So write that in your notebooks. If you want to go and look at some emerging technology in printing, nanography is really there at the cutting edge. One of the best people I know for combining technologies, this gentleman here. And if any of you have not read Steve Jobs' biography, written by Walter Isaacson, you will need approximately about a 3-week holiday to get through. It's a bit of a heavy read. But one of the great things that Apple do is none of us would deny that any one of those technologies on there is a great technology on its own, in silo. It's only when we start blending those technologies that we all know the possible outcomes, how seamless that technology is, and how easy it is to use. Do we ever moan about paying 99 pence for a download, for a single? $14.99 I spend a month, and it allows my whole family to have unlimited access to music. It just works. I can play it on any device. It's seamless. So that's what we've got to start doing with print. We've got to start introducing it, and we've got to start seeing what the outcome can be. So what I thought, because I am the first speaker this morning, I thought I'd keep it a bit light for you. I don't want to get too heavy too early. So what I thought would be a really great idea is, why don't I look at a marketing campaign that took place? Should be known to all of you here in the 1960s, okay, quite famous. And then why don't I forward wind that 50 years on? Why don't I say, okay, if we were going to deploy that marketing campaign today, what were the technologies we'd use and what would be the outcomes? So ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you're all aware of the book written by Roald Dahl, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Initiated a golden ticket campaign. On the surface of things, it was a very, very successful campaign. But I actually thought to myself, right, okay, how would we deploy that campaign today? Let's get ourselves in the mood.
Have you ever seen a single person going into that factory?
There must be people working there.
The only thing that comes out of that place is the candy. I'd give anything in the world just to go in that amazing factory.
Dear people of the world, I, Willy Wonka, have decided to allow 5 children to visit my factory.
5 golden tickets have been hidden underneath the wrapping paper of 5 ordinary Wonka bars.
Wouldn't it be something, Charlie, to open a bar of candy and find a golden ticket?
But I only get 1 bar a year.
Nothing's impossible.
You found Wonka's last golden ticket.
Now, I thought I'd put that in there just in case any of you had deprived childhoods and you weren't allowed to read or see the film or whatsoever. But as we understand it, Willy Wonka put 5 golden tickets in 5 bars of chocolate. And then those winners got to visit his factory. So what do we think the commonality is? What do these 2 gentlemen have in common? One is Arsene Wenger, the Arsene manager. One is Willy Wonka. One is a bumbling fool who doesn't really know anything about his subject, and the other one makes chocolate. So I've got some really clever marketeers in the room here this morning. I'm hoping you'll all put yourself under the tag as being clever. Where did the campaign go wrong? Think about the original campaign. 5 golden tickets, sold millions of bars of chocolate, was promoted all across the world. Where did it go wrong? Sorry? Okay, along the lines, very good, okay. Oh, sorry, I missed out both the specialists in failure. I've gone too back on myself on the presentation. So, why was the campaign a failure? Okay, the campaign was a failure because he only got to know the 5 children who came along to his factory. If we think about it, there was millions of bars of chocolate bought all around the world, but he only got to know Charlie, Augustus, Violet, Veronica and Mike, plus a few parents that dragged along in the process. What he would want to do today is he'd want to know every single person that bought a piece of chocolate that entered the competition. And technology today would allow us to do that. So for the purposes of putting a campaign together, I thought to myself, okay, fine, what would be the technologies that perhaps Wonka would deploy? If I was pitching in through the factories of the chocolate factory, what would I go and talk to Mr. Wonka about? Well, I'd want to put a data strategy together because that's absolutely key. I'd want to introduce him to the benefits of marketing automation because that's key around global branding. And then I want him to get involved in some funky stuff, some augmented reality and some digital and variable litho printing. Also, I'd like him to consider how he might be able to communicate with his customers within the retail environment using BLE, Bluetooth beacon push communication. And finally, of course, it wouldn't be a campaign nowadays if we didn't have an app. So I thought to myself, okay, let's build that and let's see what that looks like. But the problem that we've got as service providers to the marketing industry and to the corporate and to the marketing industry is we've got to get it past the marketing team first. And the problem is, we can be sometimes too innovative. Sometimes I've been told that your ideas are great, Graham, but they're just a little bit too ahead of their time for us right now. So what we've got to do is, we've got to find customers and we've got to find marketeers and we've got to find businesses that are on this curve of enterprise. This is where companies are really embracing technology, seeing the possibilities, and then that's how we then engage with you and with them to deliver these campaigns. Anything left of the enterprise curve becomes a commodity. And for that, it becomes a price point proposition. It becomes 5 or 6 people within a bidding process. It's very difficult to add value when you're in a commodity conversation. If it's too far in front of the enterprise curve, well, as I've learned to my experience, you can be making a sale in 1 day or 2 years. And I've currently got projects I'm working on at the moment which are beyond 2 years in conversation. So that's the challenge we've got to do. And that's part of this seminar today, is to wake up everybody and to say just what is possible. So, this is the problem that Mr. Wonka has. He has his chocolate bars, he delivers it for his wholesalers in the Oompa Loompa vans, who sell it to the candy man, the retail environment, and Charlie then buys the product. The issue that we've got in this scenario is Mr. Wonka never gets to know Charlie. And so I term this as consumer engagement beyond the retail experience. How do we get manufacturers, how do we get people within the manufacturing process who don't want to sell directly to the customer, but they just want to know who they are. They just want to influence them. So I spoke earlier about data strategy, okay? So this is very much about how I sell data. And it's very easy. People overcomplicate data. Oh my God, people overcomplicate the conversation around data. 80% of the clients I go and talk to, they say my data is rubbish. Well, do something about it then. Draw a line in the sand. Let's get everything right from now. And then let's go back and look after the rubbish after we've got that sorted. But I break data down into 4 areas. What you know, what you don't know, what you want to know, and what you're going to do with what you know. What you know is what you've got in your database. What you don't know, as I say, is how do you as businesses, how do I inspire to get people so they can create a utopian data line of absolutely everything. I say to clients, what would your utopian data line look like if you could sit down and map that? And then there's every campaign that you create, you go fishing for a little bit more of this. And eventually, you get to this end of the graph, and then what are you going to do with what you know? You can be relevant, you can be specific, you can be targeted, you can be personalized. You can do so much if you're working towards that utopian data set. So I thought to myself, what would Mr. Wonka want to know in a campaign? Keeping it a bit wacky, of course. We've got core data over at the end here, which is the name, the address, postcode, mobile, and etc. And then we've got some key silly questions. Who's your most annoying friend? What's your best Wonka bar? Which shoe do you tie first in the morning? Wacky stuff. And then obviously we like to have the nice to knows, the Facebooks, the Twitter, the Instagram handles. So I actually created that and I thought to myself, okay, that would be a fairly utopian data set for Mr. Wonka to go after. So once we've got the data plan, and once we know what we're doing, then let's look at the branding. Let's look about how will Mr. Wonka deploy marketing communication around the world. Well, in my book, he's going to want to look at a very simplistic marketing automation system, one for the common man. I've been very fortunate over the last few months. I've been working with Konica Minolta on the development of such a program called Marconi. For me, I see it as the most intuitive, best placed product to very much position marketing automation to the common man. And when I talk the common man in this campaign, that's the candy man. So through a very good, simplistic marketing automation software program, we can allow retailers from around the world to push out digital, social, print, SMS data, and augmented reality applications. What would that look like? Let's have a look at this. So very quickly, we get a login. The retailer, the candy man, can then decide what channel do they want to deploy. Everything within those channels is actually preset within a campaign structure. They don't even have to think about it. All they have to do is initiate it. And what I did here was I just said, well, okay, let's create a poster. He can create a poster. It can get printed locally. On that poster, there can be a QR code that goes to a Pearl, a landing page. There can be a request for data, and that data then is pushed all the way back to the local retail unit. So I thought to myself, if Mr. Wonka wanted to keep consistency of brand, if he wanted to keep consistency of messaging, then today this is available to him. This is something that he can do. It doesn't have to be global, it can be quite local. So let's go and sell chocolate. What would it look like in reality? Creating a compelling offer, we've got that. It's going to have global reach, it's going to be interactive, digital, viral, innovative, scalable, and exciting. They're all the key things I think this campaign should be. So the first thing is he's going to go above the line, and probably a bit through the line as well. So wouldn't it be great if he had a campaign where he's broadcasting in Piccadilly, Times Square, Tokyo, Singapore, Berlin, Shanghai, Basildon. He'd have posters absolutely everywhere. And I thought what would be really great is, why doesn't he put together a skirmish campaign? So from the download of an app, we can have image recognition software sitting within the back end of that app, and there would be one poster located around the world that millions of people would be scanning to try and find the winning poster. And when you've scanned that winning poster, and it can be deployed on a certain day, on a certain time, in a certain country, and if it's not one, it can be rotated around. But skirmish software sitting in the back end, image recognition software sitting in the back end of an app is here today. You can put that into the back end of your apps now, if so be it, you think that's an interesting piece of interaction. So I created this piece of architecture here in relation to how would we execute the golden ticket. So over here we have the brand owner, Mr. Wonka. We have a digital printing process and a litho printing process, so we'd be using both technologies. The Wonka bars would be printed, and on the inside we would put some variable coding. Those Wonka bars would go out, as you saw in the film, in the vans, via the wholesaler to the retailer, to the candy man who sells it to an unknown person. At this point, we don't know this is Charlie. Purchases the product. To find out whether he's won a golden ticket or not, he has to download the app. And within that app, we've put some augmented reality. We've put some interactive augmented reality, and we've also put a process of whether you win or you lose the competition, and that sits then. But before I tell you whether you've won or whether you've lost, I'm going to ask for your data. I'm going to go back all the way to that data strategy, and I'm going to ask you for your data. I'm going to show you a couple of videos now of a campaign that I was actually involved with in the Far East, and we executed a campaign very similar to the architecture that you're looking at here. So initially, this is the interactive part. Some of you may have seen this before, but this is the interactive part where we've downloaded the app, and we get the individual to just hover over the packaging or the chocolate bar to actually just initiate a cute piece of AR. It's great, the kids love it. You can poke the panda, you can tickle him, you can do lots of things with him. Okay, that's quite cute. Then let's go through a process to see whether you've won or whether you've lost a golden ticket. Again, litho printed outer packaging with digital variable content on the inside. We remove the product. And again, we use the same app, slightly different function because we're now pushing the golden ticket application. And we then enter our data. Remember, most annoying friend, which shoe do I tie first? You're giving him all that information at that point. We then hover it over the top. And hey presto, you're a winner. So when we talk about AR and we talk about digital variable printing, that's what I'm talking about. So what did you tell him? The compelling offer. Think about the compelling offer. The compelling offer is that you want to get that golden ticket. At that point, you're going to share the information that he wants you to give him. And your database will start looking something like that, answering every single question. So what's he going to do next? What's the next campaign Mr. Wonka has? Anybody? I'll enlighten you. I know there's some people in the room that have seen this before. The everlasting gobstopper. Mr. Wonka's secret product. That's going to be the next product that he's going to take to market. And I spoke earlier about beacon technology. So beacon, Bluetooth, BLE, Bluetooth, beacon technology sits within the retail environment. There's an SDK, software development kit, which sits in the back end of an app. And every time you as a consumer, and if you have on that phone, you can walk past a retail store, and if they decide to push a communication to you, you'll get a message on your phone. So it's a great way for Mr. Wonka to be really targeted and keep in communication with his customer base. He doesn't want to sell you the product. He just wants to get you in the shop to buy his product. He wants the retailer to sell his product, but he's influencing that purchase. So what would be the outcome of that campaign I've just showed you this morning? Millions of pieces of data, obviously loads of chocolate bars would have been sold. We've got massive social and viral reach. But we can communicate to whoever, wherever, and however in relation to the technology that we have. So I'm going to leave, one last slide over, sorry. Coming back to the Measure campaign, these were the outcomes of the Measure campaign that we did in Singapore. So over 700,000 boxes, that company received 150,000 scans. It was the most successful campaign that Measure had ever run in the Asia-Pacific region. And guess what? They got loads of data about people they didn't know before. And we had a massive 10% increase in Facebook likes.
It's in Apple's DNA that technology alone is not enough. It's technology married with liberal arts, married with the humanities, that yields us the result that makes our hearts sing.
What better person to tell us that technology is not enough? Technology married with the humanities, married with the liberal arts, yields us the results that truly make our hearts sing. As I said right at the beginning of this presentation, the technology doesn't do it by itself. It's how we interpret it. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed that presentation this morning. I hope it wasn't too heavy for you. I am going to be doing a panel session a little bit later on today. So queue up your questions if you've got anything. But I'm going to pass you back to John, and I hope you enjoy your day. Many thanks.